There we go. First order of business is citizens' comments. I'm here to remind you that we welcome anything you would like to bring in front of the commission that does not relate to today's public hearings. Do we have anyone in the audience interested in coming up and telling us about fun things? No? No? And do we have anything in writing, Dawn? No. No comments, okay, no citizens' comments, all right, well, let's roll. Our active agenda item, our first one is approval of the February 28th, 2024 meeting minutes. Did everybody have an opportunity to eyeball those?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I'd like to make a motion, we approve those as written.
we have a motion.
I will second that.
All right, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Oh,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's gonna be,
There's
I've
some
been on
echoes.
Zoom before, there's gonna be a delayed response
All right.
there.
So,
Oh, voice of God moment.
yeah, there we go, I was looking around.
Voice in the background.
Okay, so now we're gonna get to the fun stuff. Today, our first public hearing is, and of course, this is just at the point, right? This is a zoning change, ZNC 24-1 by 3D Stout LLC. This is, the applicant is proposing that tax parcel, I'm gonna read a whole thing, RPL 153500100010, which is located north of the old Spiral Highway, south of the city limits line, immediately west of 1520 Vast View Drive, and containing approximately 17.6 acres of vacant land be rezoned from agricultural transitional F2 to light industrial M1. All right, so the public hearing is going to process in this manner. We are going to listen to the staff presentation. After the staff presentation, we will have applicants' testimony or presentation, and then there will be testimony from the public. Then we will ask our questions as we go, and the applicant gets the opportunity to offer a rebuttal. And then we will close the public hearing and deliberate on the criteria and standards that we are given. So, in preparation for that, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing about ZNC 24-1. Go.
Good evening, commissioners. Katie Hollingshead, assistant planner. Tonight, our first public hearing is ZNC 24-1. This is a proposed rezone from agricultural transitional, which is our F2 zone, to light industrial, which is our M1 zone. Application is by 3D Stout LLC. Turn it on. Yeah. My stuff works. Okay, super. There we go. Okay. All right, so our subject property is approximately 17.6 acres of vacant land. This is generally located north of the old Spiral Highway, so Spiral Highway's hanging out down here. There it should be. South of the city limits line, which is this blue dashed line that runs around the top of the picture. And then immediately west of Vast View Drive, which is this single-family dwelling over here. Applicant proposes to rezone this from agricultural transitional, like I said, our F2 zone, to light industrial, which is our M1 zone. So zoning map showing that kind of yellowish light green color, that's the F2 agricultural transitional. This property is currently used to graze animals, and you'll get to see that from my photos. And then there is this section of M1 that's just over here. So this is like Kenworth trucks, this is some storage places, and then Sutton Salvage is up here on the north side of the city limits line. And then some photos. So I'm sitting at the entrance to Kenworth truck, looking northwest-ish at the subject property. So this is subject property, as you can see the moo cows hanging out. And then I pivot, this is Fast View Drive, this is the single-family dwelling that is adjacent to the subject property. Then as you can see, entrance to Kenworth Sales, Old Spiral Highway continues up and around, and over here where my pointer is hanging out is where those other commercial establishments are that are currently zoned M1. And then pivoting again, this looks port property over here. So we have FedEx hanging out down here. This is Bromling and Sons, I think. And then the Sheriff's Department and the jail is over here. And then just looking west along Old Spiral Highway. So like I said, subject property is currently vacant land, some of which is utilized for cattle grazing. Adjacent property to the east is a single-family dwelling. Adjacent property to the west is more farm ground. Property to the south, on the south side of Old Spiral, is also vacant ground. Property on the east of Old Spiral is that light industrial, that purple zone that I showed you. Contains Kenworth Sales, Spiral Highway Storage, which is the mini storage location, and Sutton Salvage. Subject property is located in the comprehensive plan in our neighborhood 1 North Lewiston area. Does have a future land designation in that comprehensive plan of industrial, so a move from the agricultural transitional to that M1 light industrial would be in compliance with the comprehensive plan future land use designation. As you can see from the staff report that you were provided in your packet, other city departments were solicited for comments. No one provided any on this. Same thing for other public entities. No one else provided us with comments either. So the applicant owns the 17.6 acres of vacant land. They also own the adjacent 18.04 acre property that is to the north, and then the 84.13 acre property that is adjacent to the northwest. Like I showed on the photos, there is one property adjacent to the east that contains a single-family dwelling. Other surrounding properties are vacant land or those industrial uses that we showed you on the map that were in the purple area. Subject property does have varying topography, with the Old Spiral Highway sitting at about 970 feet, and the flat farm field portions of the lot sitting about 1,030 feet. Applicant is requesting the rezone from this agricultural transitional zone to that light industrial zone. And as I said, that request is in conformance with our comprehensive plan, which calls for this part of North Lewiston to have a future land use designation of industrial. The city does have relatively small amounts of land that are currently zoned M1. There are pockets of light industrial in other areas of North Lewiston, along the levee on the south side of the Clearwater, and then again on portions of the river in East Lewiston, and then along Snake River Avenue and southeast of the airport along Park Point Place. As stated in the comprehensive plan, North Lewiston is the preferred location for more industrial zoned lands to be located, and the subject property is close proximity to port-owned property, as you can see below, which is adjacent to the jail where FedEx and those other businesses are located. Lends itself to creating a more compact industrial area with easy access to Downriver Road and State Highway 128. I usually call out for you guys road designations. So Downriver Road and State Highway 128 are truck routes, and they are classified as principal arterial streets. And then Old Spiral Highway is a collector road. Subject property is not on a City of Lewiston bus route. And I would stand for questions.
Does anyone have anything for Katie? I would ask about, I didn't see anything in the packet about utilities as this is developed. So at this point, there's no city utilities.
So this is just for the land use. So the commission normally does not approve utilities.
No, I was curious. I wasn't approving anything, so thank you. Okay.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Kathy.
okay, I have a question. Somewhere in here, I read that all adjoining landowners have to consent to this. is that something that just happens here at the public hearing, or is there something else?
I don't believe that it states they have to consent. All adjoining landowners are notified of the public hearing and can provide public comment.
Okay, I was just curious. It seems like I read that someplace and I just jotted it down.
All right, anything else? Or are we ready for the applicant?
Thanks,
Okay.
Katie, nice
Thank
job.
you. Thank you.
Thanks, Katie.
And do we have a representative? Excellent. So I'll ask you to come to the podium, state your name and your city of residence, and then offer your presentation.
Thank you. My name is Doug Stout. My son Trevor came with me. So I'm the manager of 3D Stout LLC. My three brothers, or my two brothers and I own this property. My parents owned it before. So the 17.6 acres that we're looking at to propose to get a zone change after talking to Katie, she hit on a lot of the points that I was going to make tonight, just spot on how this piece fits in with the industrial area that's around there. Looking at the port, I've listened to the port meetings lately. They're looking at the 26 acres that this piece butts up to. And they're looking to explore now to break into that now that looks like Admiral Beverage has taken a spot at the port and the steel place that is going in. And so they're kind of, running out of some property there. So they're looking at that 26 acres and developing that, and this butts right up next to it. So we thought we would, we've gotten some interest from companies also that are looking for this kind of size ground to come in and to do that. One correction, just the piece to the north, we owned that and we sold that to my nephew, 26 acres, and that's just a cow ranch. And he's continuing to run cattle on that. So the north piece of that, everything north, will stay that way. And then as Katie said, to the northeast where we butt up to the port, and then from there on up, we own about 350 acres above that also that goes all the way up Spiral Highway also, so that's all joined to it. But there is some right that butts up to the port that lays in the county then, that would be adjacent to that. Like Katie said, fits, Kenworth is M1 Sutton Salvage is there. There's a Schrader's Truck, I believe, there. There's another truck shop there that's in the county, Wilson's, that do truck work there also. On the water and power, so right across the street from our property, there is, looking on the port's website on their plan, there's water and phone line right there that went to Kenworth. So that's just right across the street from there. The sewer would have to come from down at the jail. So the city sewer ends up at the jail. It'd have to come across. But if the port decides to develop that, then we're hoping that would all fit into going across to the port and then possibly come into this property then. If how that all laid out, or how the cards fall on that, I guess would be. Other than that, like I said, Katie hit a lot of everything, I think, when we had talked and everything about this, and I appreciate it, but, yeah.
Let's see if anybody's got some questions for Mr. Stout.
Question, but just a comment, if you can get through Katie's hoops,
Yeah.
sounds good to me.
Hey, got to know
She
Katie a
works
lot and some things, and yeah, she's wonderful, so I appreciate it, so, yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you for coming down today. Alrighty, so now is a portion of testimony from the public. Do we have anyone present who would like to address? I'll ask you to come to the podium, state your name and your location of residence. And come on up.
My name is Mitchell Sutton. I would be the adjoining piece of property to the east side of this, 1520 Vast View Drive. We weren't notified of this. They just saw a sign yesterday that was hung up on the fence that they were having a meeting. And I got a call from another neighbor about 2 weeks ago telling me about it. I called Brad, the nephew who runs the cows next to us, and he was like, yeah, we just heard about it. So the port's got plenty of property, the 26 acres down below that isn't getting developed. And I mean, nobody seems to be interested in it. When we bought this property from Martin Stout, this was going to be a cattle ranch. You know, I own Sutton Salvage across the road. Everything across the road was already there previous. You know, the homes have been going up, but that's about it. And I would be quite interested in what kind of business was going below our house and what they were gonna do. Property lines, when Katie was involved, when we first set our house up, we allowed them to keep the fence line where it was at. The city wanted it moved, widen out our property at the bottom end because of stipulations. Such, it has to be a certain width apparently, minimum. So we would have to move fences and didn't really build a custom home to overlook an industrial park. That was never in the cards to begin with. I don't know how much the family really wants this. Doesn't sound like Brad and them. They'd love to keep running cows on it. At the top part on the line, you see that blue line where the city's at. I know when we built our house, we had to build up a certain level because the city's natural gas line, the main line feeds right through the property. So that would be it's a huge obstacle to get around. We had to be 5 feet minimum. And when you switch this from agricultural, you'll no longer be exempt. You'll have to have that line covered at a certain depth. And it goes anywhere from 36 inches to 18 inches in spots where we had to cover it. So, because when I asked Williams Equipment, I said, why do we have to build up so high? And he goes, you're not exempt anymore because you own a residence now. So you have to be 5 foot minimum cover over that. And if you hit that line, as he explained to me, my house would no longer be there. He said it would wipe out Wilson's shop that you brought up when we were sitting watching, so they were gonna dig around it and we end up back trucking around the line to get our power and water underneath of it. So, I don't know, I just heard about this, so this is the first time I'm kinda getting in the loop of it.
So I did note that the announcements, the public announcements went into the paper on February 25th. Yes, Jennifer?
You were mailed, you're on the list, and I did that myself personally, so I stuck it in an envelope and stuck it to your address, so.
Didn't make it to us.
I'll double check all of that.
Okay, and you mentioned, if the commission doesn't mind, you mentioned a gas line runs through. Now, is it running through your property or the property that's?
All of it.
All of it?
It enters my property through that adjacent piece of property.
Yeah. Just for clarity, the port owns the property to the west of it, or?
To the west, yes. It's the old Twin City Foods. Where they had crew piece up on the hill for a long time.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Does anyone else have some questions for our?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have any additional testimony?
The applicant can rebut, so choose.
Yes, that's next. But I just wanted to make sure we didn't have anyone else ready. Would you care to address?
Yeah, if I can address
Yes,
a couple
please.
things, sure. So my nephew that runs the cattle, he leases the ground, but then he bought the ground from us. The decisions that me and my brother make don't necessarily, that's why we sold him the property, because we're moving forward with our estates and things. And so some of this property is not always gonna be used just for cattle or whatever. And so we're trying to find the best use and what benefits our family the best out of this. The other thing, I guess, with the gas line is there's multiple gas lines I'm sure have been built over or around. This gas line runs to the north of the property underneath the power lines there. So the bulk of this property, they could stay 15 feet, 20 feet away from it and not touch the gas lines and still have a very usable space of at least probably 15 acres or more yet to do what they need to do without disturbing that. Or obviously, if they're gonna do that, they have to adhere to whatever rules that come with that, you know. And I guess as far as, my dad did sell Mr. Sutton this property to build his house. There was no guarantees to him made of what, you know, future use is for that road or for this ground down the lane, you know. Obviously, he looks to the east, doesn't mind the Sutton salvage look of everything, and Johnson, his neighbor to him, is filling in and got all kinds of equipment and big equipment and everything around there. So they knew going into this, obviously, that Kenworth and all this was an industrial was there. So I guess that's just my rebuttal to that they can't guarantee somebody 10 years down the road, you know, obviously. That'll change.
Commissioners, everybody's been pretty quiet today, so this might be the last opportunity, I think. And we might have jumped ahead. So we've had the applicant rebuttal. No questions were posed earlier. So once I close the public hearing, there will be no more additional questions or,
Madam Chairman?
yes, Kathy?
Okay, so I would like Jennifer to look that up for me about all adjoining landowners consenting to this. Could you do that for me?
Yes, I will.
So if that's going on, is this something that we need to move forward with now, or is it a table situation, or?
If there's information that the council or the commissioners would like that it will probably take some research to double check on, we would probably be in the best interest to keep the hearing open until that information can be gathered. Because it appears that the public hearing notices, it's been raised as a question about whether or not it was sent out appropriately. And then Commissioner Branson would like verification on the requirements of approval for this particular zone change, so.
Thank you.
When you say hold it open, you mean tonight, or do you mean like it's open and we table it?
Open and table it, because the
Okay.
commission cannot gather additional evidence after it's been closed.
Okay, but so
So then
what,
I
so,
would-
oh, go ahead, Kevin, I'm sorry.
I guess then the proper, and it would be I make a motion to leave it open and table it until we can have more information.
Yes,
I'll
and I would,
second that.
Have Commissioner Branson's question answered.
and I would include in that just having it for the next planning and zoning meeting.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, not indefinitely, yeah. So, and revisit this the next meeting, which is 2 weeks.
27, that's the next meeting.
Since the public hearing is open, Katie, this is a question for you for kind of next step. So the zoning change does not have to do with any of the individual development or uses that would go on within that property as long as it fits the zoning use criteria, correct?
Correct, yes, so a rezone would allow for anything that is called out in the M1, so that's included in your packet.
So we could see uses of this property come back to us, or the city would, if somebody wanted to build on it and the zoning use change was, and we approved the zoning change, correct?
You guys would not review
We
it.
wouldn't, sorry, but the city would at some level.
Yes, if the commission and then the council approved the zone change request and it went to M1, either the property owner or a developer on behalf of the property owner could then apply for a building permit or utility permit or whatever it is that they need to do, whatever sort of development that they want, as long as it meets
Right, okay.
the
Yeah,
uses
as long
that
as
are
it
called
meets
out.
the uses and the criteria.
Yes,
Okay.
and then if it were something where it was a use that was a conditional use that was allowed in that zone, then that would come back in front of the
Mhm.
Okay.
commission.
Yeah.
Or a secondary
I was gonna
approval,
say that.
basically.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so, I would be open to a motion
I
to
already
table.
put a motion.
Did you?
Yep.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
made the
Kevin
motion.
did.
I'll
I
second
believe
it.
Kathy already seconded.
You seconded, okay, I
So-
missed that. All in favor of leaving the public hearing open and revisiting this in 2 weeks with respect to the additional information required, both on the public announcement being sent and Kathy's concerns, everybody in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we will table this. Yes, I don't click this, will I do? You can do that.
I mean, technically it's still open, but
okay.
I don't, if I click it, I don't want, you know.
that's the
So,
official bell.
we are going to revisit this in 2 weeks.
One question.
Can he ask a question?
Ask a question.
I just, so this obviously has the question that had about making sure that all the property owners have to consent to this. So if somebody didn't consent to it, one person could say that this isn't a go, is that right, the way I understand this?
Not necessarily. So my name's Jennifer Tingano, I'm an assistant city attorney. And so I'm just gonna look at the criteria that's required for the transitions to the M1 zone. If there's any such criteria that requires it, because some of the zone changes have different standards than the others. And then I'm gonna verify that the public hearing notices were sent as required.
Sure.
And then I'll come back and report that to everybody. What I'll probably end up doing is actually doing a letter. And you'll get a letter, everyone here will get a letter, and anyone else that requests it will get a letter as well. And I wanna talk to you after this too.
So we'll get a letter and we'll see you in 2 weeks, I believe.
Thank you.
Okay, okay. Thanks everyone for your patience while we dig. All right, so our next order of business, we're gonna set this off to the side. This is going to open a second public hearing tonight. Let's see, so what we are doing here, the applicant requests that the undeveloped 22.11 acres located south of Powers Avenue and east of 23rd Street, immediately adjacent to the existing Skyview Estates Phase 3 subdivision, be removed from the Lewiston area of city impact and annexed into the Lewiston city limits, and that it be assigned a comprehensive plan land use designation of low-density residential and placed in the low-density residential R2 zoning district. And then subsequently, having the Lewiston area of city impact map amended accordingly. And the case, the public hearing is regarding ANX 24-000001, CPA 24-000001, and ZNC 24-000002. And again, the public hearing will be opened. We will have a staff presentation. The applicant will then have an opportunity to present. And we will hear public testimony, pose a ton of questions from the commission, and then we will close the hearing after a rebuttal. So opening this public hearing. Please go, Katie.
Erin, can you get me back to the main screen so I can pull up the other one? I clicked too many times, sorry. That one, yes, please. Thank you. Okay, so this is annexation application, ANX 24-1 with comprehensive plan map amendment CPA 24-1, and then zone change request ZNC 24-2. Okay, so subject property is approximately 22.11 acres of vacant land located in the area of city impact. And it is depicted there on your map, outlined in red with its numbers associated. Property is south of Powers Avenue and east of 23rd Street. It is immediately adjacent to the existing Skyview Estates subdivision, which is over here on the west side of the photo. So then I have same map, but this is with our City of Lewiston zoning map on it, so you can see the adjacent Skyview Estates subdivision. The areas that are shaded in green are within city limits, and they are all R1, which is our suburban residential zone. So the applicant is proposing a low-density residential zoning designation and low-density residential R2 for the zone. So the new area kind of jets off down here. This is 23rd where my cursor is. This is a fire department turnaround that you'll see in my photos, and then the property goes to the east of that little section right here that comes off 23rd. I want the commission to take note, just because this comes up when we talk about properties in this area, that the ones that are not shaded green, these couple of houses here, these three here, and this strip of houses that go along 22nd are not within city limits. Just the ones that are green are in city limits. This is a weird little situation out here. So these folks are not in city limits. They are on septic systems. The folks in green are in city limits. They are on sewer systems. And then just to continue with that thought, green line is the sewer that goes along Powers, and then as you can see, comes down 23rd. There's also a leg of it that comes down right here that hooks into this section of Skyview Estates, Phase 3, that we did the annexation on last year. So the sewer line comes through here. You don't see it because these pictures are from last year. And so that feeds this section. There is also a water pump house right here with Lewiston Orchards Irrigation District. You'll see in your packet there are comments from Lewiston Orchards Irrigation District regarding their process when it comes to annexing into their water district, and how that all works. That stuff usually occurs during the subdivision process after land actions have been completed. So, as I put, lands proposed to be annexed would have sewer and water extended to them as part of the subdivision process, which comes after this process. And you folks usually see those subdivision applications in the pre-app form when those come in front of you and the city surveyor presents on those. So, some photos. So, I showed you that temporary cul-de-sac, that fire access turnaround. That's on the south end of 23rd, so I am standing there. I'm looking east at the subject property, so it's over here. All of this beautiful vacant land. And then pivoting, I'm again at that same spot, looking south. So you can see this is that fire access turnaround. Blue Mountains behind us, looking fantastic. There's some Waha. Then looking west from that same cul-de-sac, you can see this is Phase 3 of Skyview Estates. You can see the houses that are in process. There's some that are already completed farther down over here. Lots of activity out there, I'll tell you. And then again, pivoting again, looking north. So this is 23rd. I'm standing where it stops at that cul-de-sac. You can see Powers Drive is right here. And then Powers Avenue farther up here in front of these houses that you can see. So now I'm on the other end of the property. So I'm at the northeastern corner of the subject property. I'm standing on Powers. I'm looking south. So you can see power lines and this fence line. This fence line kind of delineates on the maps that are included in your packet where that property boundary is that is being proposed to be annexed into the city. And then pivoting, so I'm just looking back so you can see this is the house I was standing kind of next to out here in the far corner. So I'm looking southwest across the subject property. And then looking west along Powers, and then across the street, single-family dwellings, with larger pasture areas. I think that particular person had some horses in theirs. And then kind of just pivoting a little bit more, looking north, again, just across the street. And you can see houses over here in the background. These would be like on Grell. But most of those properties in that direction are larger properties, like we talked about. So subject property is 22.11 acres of vacant land that's proposed to be developed into 47 possible building lots of various sizes. The R2 low-density zone has a minimum lot size of 7,500 square feet with a minimum lot width of 70, minimum lot depth of 100. So lot width and lot depth real similar to that of the R1, but R1 has that 10,000 square foot minimum. Like the commission has seen in previous applications, I think you will see more and more applications that do a mix of zones to allow for a mix of lot sizes to accommodate different housing types. I think we're getting to the point where land is scarce and land is expensive. And so the R2 is still a low density designation, has that maximum density of 5 to 8 units per acre, which is just slightly more than that R1. R1 is also in that low density designation and just has that slightly larger lot size. What else do we need to know? So property is currently in the ACI, so Area of City Impact, which is part of the reason you have to designate a land designation, and then pick your zone after the annexation is approved. Powers Ave is considered a collector street. 22nd is considered a local road. 23rd also considered a local road. And as you can see, it's not an all the way through road at this point. It would be extended, a portion of it, to accommodate the new development. Both the fire department and engineering departments did not have any comments. Like I said, Lewiston Orchards Irrigation District would be the water purveyor. A booster station has been installed and was done as part of the phase 3 of Skyview Estates and is operational and with service of proposed development. As part of Lewiston Orchards Irrigation District's process, they would still need engineered plans to be submitted so that their board could review and approve the annexation into their water district. Those plans also get approved by DEQ. Our comprehensive plan identifies lands that are located in the area of city impact as most appropriate for annexation. And this will provide additional land for the community to grow. So as shown in the first map, this is adjacent to an existing development and will continue that development just farther east. They'll also extend those water and sewer lines, providing more opportunities for neighboring properties to also hook up to use those services if they so chose. So as a reminder to the commission, so these applications are for the land use. And if they are approved and subsequently approved by council, you will later see a subdivision application come in front of you that would show you what that division of land according to that zoning designation would look like for your approval and recommendation to council. And I would stand for questions.
Anyone?
Yeah, Kathy does,
Okay, Kathy?
Madam Chairman. So my questions are, would questions dealing with public utilities, animal rights, and improving the streets come after the subdivision plan is presented?
So, animal rights are not part of the R2 zone, so if the annexation, comp plan amendment, and zone change were approved and recommended to council, those properties located in the R2, and just those properties located in that R2 would not have animal rights or the ability to apply for animal rights through the conditional use permit process. That's just not part of that particular zoning. That does not change people who are in the R1's ability to have animals, as long as they meet the size requirements.
Okay, thank you.
And then street network, that is not covered as a land use. That would come as part of the subdivision where the street network would be identified and reviewed by the engineering and public works department.
Okay,
And then what was the third one? Was utilities?
yeah, the utilities.
So utilities also, same thing, are part of the subdivision process, and are reviewed and identified by the engineering department and our public works department. And in this
Thank you.
case, Lloyd, Lewiston Orchards Irrigation District, because they would be the water purveyor.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for Katie? Apparently none. Thank you, Katie, very much for that presentation. And now we invite the applicant to come to the podium. Provide your name and city of residence.
All right, my name is Scott Becker with Hodge & Associates, an engineering firm in Moscow, Idaho, 405 South Washington. Just here to represent the applicant. The applicant is also here if we do have direct questions for Joe. But I believe Katie covered everything that we were gonna talk about. It's just an extension of some more, developable land out that way. And we know that in the past, the city has shown interest that we work with them to make this happen, so we're trying to follow all the rules. So, but I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
I think my biggest question is, in looking at the map and kind of the portion that you're annexing in, I'm guessing that the little flag portion of that is just simply to incorporate where the turnaround is currently for the fire department. But is there a reason it's not extending across?
Well, we're tying into what's out there now with the existing, and then as it wraps around, there'll be a different layout for that.
Any other questions?
Looks great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now I think is the time for public testimony. State your name and city of residence.
John Workenstern. I live at 2425 Powers Avenue, just east of this picture here. In terms of notification, my neighbor who lives right at the right edge of that picture there, Bruce Wyatt, he was notified by mail. I don't have any, I believe I was. I don't know if I'm supposed to be. Just a comment. I realized what was going on because I happened to see the sign as I drove past there. It's an 8.5 by 11 inch sign with letters. I measured them 3/8 of an inch high. And perhaps there was a public announcement made in the newspaper. I don't know if anybody, maybe other than in this room, who goes to the Tribune on a weekly basis to keep track of what's in the public announcements. I think that's archaic in terms of notification. That's just an aside. So it was designated as low density, or I don't know these terms until tonight. R1 is what it is now, R2 is what it will be.
No.
And, no, that's what the request is, to make it, is it currently designated R1?
It's currently designated county,
Oh, okay.
It's not part of the city directly
so it
yet.
doesn't follow our zoning designations.
Okay, what was the mention about R1 and R2?
That the adjacent section that was recently annexed into the city by Mr. Greco last year is R1 zoning.
Okay, is that considered low density?
Yes, that's our suburban residential zone.
And is R2 low density?
Yes, that's our low density residential zone.
7,500 square feet. I own another house in Lewiston that has 7,500 square feet property, and if that's low density, what's high density?
Our R4 is our high density, and that is a minimum lot of 5,000 square feet.
5,000 square feet.
And you can cover, I believe that one allows for 50% lot coverage.
All right, that's striking. So our property, across the street from this, the houses, well, my house and whatnot, they're all 5-acre lots. That's what I would consider low density. So it's a matter of semantics, and it's surprising to me that you would have animal rights on lots so small.
There were not animal rights on the proposed development. The proposed zone change.
There are two.
They would not have animal rights.
Would all these houses be 7,500 square feet lots?
I believe Katie said that we will see the comprehensive plan in the future, not the comprehensive plan, the subdivision plat in the future, but the direction things are going are a mix. Some larger homes on 10,000, some smaller. I believe, and Katie can correct me, that the 7,500 is the minimum. It is not the standard or the.
But given this designation, you would have, the developer would have the right to make them all 7,500 square feet.
Right.
If it passed the subdivision approval, yes.
And that's lot area, that's not the house size.
Oh, I realize that, right.
So
Yeah.
you could.
Madam Chairman, if I can interject? Somewhere it said that there was going to be 47 proposed building lots.
Yeah.
If that helps anything.
They're not required to, that's proposed, but they're not required to meet that, right? That's not, they could change their mind and put in 150.
No,
No, they wouldn't be able to fit that many.
Yeah, that would
they
be,
have to meet a minimum lot area size, which is gonna be governed by how much literal space that they have.
That's road frontages.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, if, Katie, if I can ask, how many homes in the R1 on an acre? Because R2 you said is 5 to 8 homes max.
Yes, so in an R1, it's a minimum lot size of 10,000, so 4,
4, okay. So that's,
as long as they're connected to sewer.
okay,
Madam Chair,
yes.
just in doing a baseline mathing it out, if this goes through as proposed with 47 lots, you're looking at just under a half acre, like 0.47. So each lot would be approximately, depending on how they put it out, but I mean, you're looking at 2 houses per acre.
And I believe that gerrymandering map that you showed there with those little islands that belong to the county and amongst the city-owned property, is that the result of the issue with the septic drainage? The septic systems versus sewer line hookups? Is that what distinguishes those homes?
No, that's either they're located in the county or they have annexed into the city.
Why is that, gerrymandering, that little cutouts and all that?
Because
How did
they-
that come about?
Because some people chose to annex into the city and some people chose not to.
If they annex into the city, they're able to hook onto the sewer.
The individual residents did that,
Yeah.
not the developer himself.
They're going to have that same right here?
Yeah, anyone can ask to be annexed.
I mean,
into
are they gonna
their
have this, the
basin.
right to go on with the septic tank?
No, they will not be large enough lots for a septic tank. The health department approves those, and my understanding is currently the health department will only approve new septics on 5 acres or more.
Is that what happened with the previous, those
No, my understanding is that is a new ruling from DEQ.
passive ones?
Well, I heard about it last week at a meeting, so I don't know when that report was
But
issued.
those houses that were built like in 2019,
Yes,
is that how that came about?
no. So all of those properties were in the county, and so they either chose to put in a septic, or they chose to annex into the city and connect to the sewer line when the sewer line went out. Or some of them chose to annex into the city after the sewer line was present in Powers, and then hook up into the sewer line and abandon it. But at development, my understanding is all those properties, because they're all 1 acre lots, and that's the city minimum, or that was the minimum for a septic system, chose to go with the septic. With the exception of the one on the corner, because they wanted to split their lot into 1/2 acre lots. That they annexed in before they built. And
So
then,
these homes here, none of them will have the option of going with the septic tank? Even if
none of the
they're,
new ones will, no.
even if they're 2 acres?
No, none of the new ones will.
Ask the commission to recognize that that was a bad idea. I don't know if you would acknowledge that or not. The idea that you could have across the street from the city line back then to put in multiple septic tanks and the environmental impact on the Lindsay Creek drainage and all that.
If I may address
I
that,
think that caused some problems in the past. I wasn't involved in that, but I don't think that was well received.
okay.
Yeah.
That is, I think the county, those that developed had the opportunity, that are still in the county, that put in the septic, is that correct? Or do we actually have city residents with septic?
We do have city residents that still have septic because there's not sewer present in all areas of the East Orchards.
And that's,
But that's not applicable to this
yes,
application.
it is not. Our applicant is asking to annex into the city, and then we'll meet all the criteria and codes, and including sewer.
Maybe I was trying to look it up today. Who has the property, well, on those pictures you showed, the last picture you showed, looking east on Powers Avenue, if you could put that slide up? Could you put that slide back up?
The undeveloped?
Right, there's the utility poles going through. There's big power lines going through.
That one.
That one on the lower right. Yeah, this one here. Here, across the street from that, actually. East, yeah, right there. Who owns this tract of land here? Do we know?
I don't know.
Are you a county resident or a city resident?
County.
Thank you.
This is my neighbor here.
Yeah.
Wyatt's owned this house here, and I live next door here.
Okay.
Who owns that?
Well, that would be something you could probably find at the assessor's office, I don't believe.
Assessor's office.
Yeah, I don't.
They have animal rights there.
That can't be answered at this particular meeting.
Okay.
But I will give our applicant an opportunity to rebut any of your questions or address any of your questions that he can,
Okay.
specific to his property. Okay? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. We would, I again, state your name.
Once again, Scott Becker with Hodge and Associates, 405 South Washington in Moscow. Yeah, just a couple points. The reason we chose R2 versus R1 is the lot sizes, we have some fairly large lots, but really we weren't looking for animal rights on this. Joe's a builder as well as the developer, so he likes to, he's trying to make this a very nice subdivision and not just, haphazard, so. But the lot sizes that we're looking at, and it doesn't matter at this meeting, but they're pretty substantial lots. There's nothing that's a tiny home lot type of thing, so 7,500 acre, or even 7,500 square feet is, I don't even know if we have anything that small, so. So anyway, that answers that. As far as septic, something you should probably know, that in this area that we're in on the East Orchards, to do any septic from here out, even in the county, I believe you have to have a nutrient pathogen test done. And so septic is pretty much out of the question. There's only a couple firms around that even do nutrient pathogen testing and reports. It's so new that DEQ has just implemented it, and then the question is, well, what does that mean? And I don't know, but do that. So it's been a little bit challenging to even figure that out. So we did check the sewer depths for utilities, the sewer works. We know we have water there, so really the best thing is to annex into the city and bring it into the city system. So I think that answers the questions, but once again, gladly answer. If you have any other questions, I'll.
Commissioner?
I have a quick question. Is this property a part of that annexation agreement between the city and the developer for wastewater?
That was the previous annexation.
Good question, because I didn't know.
I do.
That was the previous annexation we completed last year. So it is not, this is
For
separate.
Skyview.
This is separate.
And then just to clarify, as far as the public hearing notices, Mr. Morgenstern's property is more than 330 feet away from the subject property, so he would not have received notice. And then as far as the newspaper notice, that is Idaho code that's required for the newspaper. And what the Tribune does is not only do they publish it in the newspaper, but they also publish it online in their classifieds under legal notices, so it's not behind the paywall.
Excellent. Thank you.
I did want to make one more point, and you can, by all means, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe the city can force anybody to annex in, and that's why we kind of have those.
Can, we just choose not to.
Okay, thank you for correcting me.
Which is why we have those pockets.
Right now, but there is legislation currently pending to change that, but.
Oh, to make it so cities can't force?
To make it
Well,
so-
when I say force, I know cities have a reason, but.
Encourage.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your
Strongly
time.
encourage, yes.
Strongly encourage.
Nudge, nudge.
Okay, moving forward,
Actually, Madam Chair, I have a question for Katie. So if, and I might be all wrong, is this, property or the surrounding property, the development, part of the drainage issue that we've had back there? And
It is in the area, yes.
would the subdivision,
Are there
hearing-
problems?
well, would that be the time to address that?
Well, so when the subdivision comes in, they have to, like, they're going to extend city sewer, and they have to hook up the city sewer, because that's a requirement of city code, that once you're within 200 feet of sewer, you have to hook up to it.
Right.
And any of our subdivisions now, that's one of those utility requirements, is that water and sewer are installed.
So that mitigates the flooding that has
Stormwater.
happened, yes.
Oh, stormwater, okay,
Yeah.
that's different than sewer.
guess
So
so.
yes, stormwater is also addressed as part of the subdivision, because that comes in with those construction plans. How the streets are designed, how the curb gutter sidewalk situation is, all of those things, so. It's not, like, you'll see part of it during subdivision, but really it's when they get those construction plans, once the subdivision, the preliminary plat has been approved, and then those subdivision plans come in with the engineering and public works department, and those infrastructure items are installed.
Okay.
Okay, so we will not have any additional evidence or testimony once I close the hearing. Do we have any additional questions for Katie or our applicant? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing and we will deliberate on our criteria.
Okay, Madam Chair? I really don't have criteria for the annexation, so I'd just like to get the ball rolling. I'd like to
Okay.
make a motion to recommend that we approve this annexation, number 24-1, and recommend it to the city council.
And Madam Chair, I will second that motion.
Without further discussion, all in favor of
Just a
recommending?
second. Just a second. Do we need to include CPA 24-001 and AMC
time.
and ZNC in the motion?
No, Kathy, it appears it's one at a time.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. We have a second. All in favor of recommending approval of Annex 24-1 to City Council, say aye.
Aye.
No opposition. Oh, Kathy?
Yes, aye.
Aye, sorry. That's tough. Okay, so the second item would be the comprehensive plan, CPA 24-1, approval or denial. Michael?
As before, I'd like to make that motion to recommend the approval of the comp plan amendment 24-1 to the city council.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor
Aye.
of approval?
Aye.
No opposed. So the next one on the table is the discussion of the rezone. And for those, we do have criteria.
I handed out a criteria sheet to everybody.
Okay, so, criteria as they stand for zone change 24-2?
Yes.
Alrighty, here we go. The first, for discussion, the proposed rezone is or is not in general conformance with the Lewiston Comprehensive Plan. Let's start with Mo.
I believe that is going to be in general conformance with the Lewiston Comprehensive Plan, especially since we are doing a comprehensive plan amendment specifically to incorporate this.
Emily?
I agree.
Agreed.
Michael?
Right, keeping to the 10,000 foot minimum. Great.
Okay. And Kevin?
I agree.
Okay, well, I see no issues with that, so I believe that it is in general conformance. Due to already being flagged as buildable and adjacent to existing city. So that's an is. Second, the subject property is or is not at least as well suited or is better suited for the proposed zoning district than the existing zoning district. Kevin?
I'm gonna have to say it is at least as well suited or better.
As a why? Jennifer always wants us to say why we believe that it is equally well suited.
Housing, it's in addition to an already begun subdivision.
I'm gonna have to agree that the subject property is at least well suited. As Katie said, it's very annex friendly.
Gabe, comments?
Yeah, I'll just, I agree, it is, and I'll just add, that it fits within the area itself. It's noted in the staff analysis that the neighboring designation, or neighboring area is already zoned R1. So it fits within that area for compatibility of land uses and zoning.
Emily?
I agree with
Mo?
Yep, I absolutely agree.
Okay, and I like Kevin, it is literally butting up to an existing third phase of the subdivision, which is a pretty impressive. Okay, so 3, proposed rezone does or does not present foreseen mitigable impacts of incompatible uses or development being located in the same vicinity. I'm having problems today. Michael, what do you think?
I'm gonna say that the proposed rezone does not present any problems. It already butts up against the M1 zone. Comprehensive plan is moving that direction anyway.
Okay, Gabe?
Yeah, the only thing, again, I'll add is, it kind of was addressed in number 2 too, is just that it fits within the land use of the area. So, I agree, it does not present any, immutable impacts of incompatible use.
Excellent. Emily?
Great.
All right, Mo?
I would also add, I agree, I would also add though that it's pretty obvious in the way that things have been built in for the phase 3, that this is, like the utilities are already put into place to go ahead and further the expansion, so.
It's, I agree, it's it's already in the area of city impact, so it's pretty much the pipeline of being developed as it is, so.
Sprawl. I will say, a development of, including it in a development of this nature will extend our sewer systems, utilities, and bring this property in this area, on board at the top standards and codes expected, so I think that will improve the area. The efforts of the proposed rezone are or are not anticipated to place undue burden upon delivery of services provided by any political subdivision within the planning jurisdiction, including school districts. Mo, thoughts?
I believe that the effects of the proposed rezone are not anticipated to place any undue burdens. I think that, obviously transportation, it's just in the immediate area. Transportation for school children, et cetera, is likely already addressed. I mean, when we look at the reports from the agencies who chimed in, no one else saw an issue with it, Lloyd, et cetera, so.
I agree with the addition of, as we've already stated, it is right there. It's within, many of those utilities are already almost there, so. Any burden.
Gabe?
Agree?
I'm gonna agree too, plus with the new annexation that we've just approved, we're gonna have sewer and water.
Kathy, forgive me, have you got some feedback on this one? I've not been,
Not on this one.
okay,
That sounds good to me.
okay, Kevin?
I agree.
All right, and I believe that Powers is considered the main arterial and it's the other ones. Am I wrong? Okay, so I believe that it, we are not anticipating undue burden. I believe that everything that it needs is already on that street, and it will just expand it. All right, so our final, the size, type, intensity, and density of development expected to occur on the subject property as a result of this rezoning is or is not suitable for the area and will or will not unduly burden the neighborhood, public infrastructure, and environmental resources. Kathy, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing that the city is acquiring this, or will acquire this, because it's gonna add to our tax base. And these people will get the benefits of public infrastructure, et cetera, environmental resources and et cetera, that they wouldn't get as staying within the county.
Okay. Kevin?
Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
I have to agree.
Michael?
For question number 5, I do believe the rezoning is suitable for the area and will not unduly burden the neighborhood.
I agree with Kathy and Mike here, and I sound like broken record, but for the third time, I mean, the adjacent area is also suburban residential, so it fits within the framework of being suitable for the area for type, size, intensity, and density of the development.
Emily?
Agree.
Okay, and I do agree that a pending subdivision and the lot size R2 would be more suited with respect to the animal rights currently. It's, offer the R1s. I think that prohibiting that is not necessarily a bad approach in the neighborhood. So I believe that it is suitable and will not unduly burden. So I believe that that is the end of the criteria that we need to discuss. And I would see no more questions. I believe that we would be open to a motion to direct the staff.
Madam Chair, I will make a motion to direct staff to draft the reason statement approving ZNC 24-2 with all of the applicable conversation that we have had here.
I will gladly second that motion, Madam Chair.
Excellent. Before we vote on that, Jennifer, do you have everything that you need with regards to why?
I'm just double checking that.
On the tiny screen as you really try to focus in.
Yep, no. I
Okay.
couldn't remember if this one was one of the ones that required the 6th criteria or if that was just the conditional uses.
That's just conditional use.
Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second on the table. All in favor of approving and directing the staff to draft the reason statement approving ZNC 24-2, say aye.
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 There is no opposition. It is.
So,
There we go.
I'm sorry, there's one more
Yep.
bullet point there.
Yeah.
For some reason, it didn't come off as another.
What are we doing? The adjustment to the area of impact map?
So Madam Chair, I will also make a motion to recommend approval of the associated area city impact map amendment to the city council.
And I'll second that again, Madam Chair.
Okay, excellent. We have a motion and a second to amend the area of city impact map. So let us vote on approving the recommendation to amend it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No opposition. Excellent. That is also moving forward then. Okay, I think that's business, so, as long as Jennifer's got everything she needs and Dawn's caught up with us. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And thank you, sir, for coming in on the public commentary. I highly recommend you visit when the subdivision plat map there will be a public hearing for that as well. Okay, so next on our agenda is staff commission communications.
So just standard query of commissioners to attend the meeting on the 27th. We will have a new commissioner joining us. She was appointed on Monday by council. I don't know her name, Shawnita Cable, I believe. So we'll be getting her in for orientation and getting her all squared away. So her first meeting will be on the 27th. So anyone unable to attend on the 27th.
I will be having to attend that one by Zoom again. Sorry about that.
Kathy's a Zoom.
I can do Zoom, I will not be in the area, we'll be on the coast. So I could do Zoom or I can call in, but I will not be physically present.
As a follow-up to that, when you're on Zoom, remind me you're on Zoom and to get your, I'm not staring at your face.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then last item, since it is Mr. Michael's last meeting with
It is.
us, we do have a plaque for him, thanking him for his 4 years.
And a
of
Get up
photo,
and
and
do
a
it.
photo opportunity,
Photo
everybody,
opportunity.
all the whole team.
Photo op.
Come
No
on up,
spamming.
team. The whole team.
The whole team.
The whole
And
team.
nothing but the team?
You,
Come on up.
Everybody stand.
longer term, well, I'm not the rookie
I
anymore.
object.
You'll get one of these in 4
2
years.
2 years in, like in my job, so like 2 years in, you've just learned how to do your job.
I had to throw my own party when I
I'll stay in the
retired.
middle.
We're all proud
Okay,
to
I'll be in the
serve you.
middle. Come on.
I like to
We're
hide.
all in
Come
it
on,
together. It's a team effort.
There we
Right?
go.
Come on, Cynthia, don't hide.
I'm hiding.
Smile.
1, 2, 3. Very nice.
There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah, upside down.
Thank you, Michael, for your service.
Well, I hope the door's open for that, if I ever feel the need
Oh, yeah.
for my public service.
Absolutely. I'm
Now,
sure the
Madam
city could
Chair,
use you on other
yes,
commissions too.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Excellent, we have a motion on the
There you go.
table. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
Dave seconds. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
All right, done.
Thank you.